2026 NFL mock trade scenarios. The Dallas Cowboys should move up into the top 5 for Sonny Styles.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm Damian Parson. That is Keith Sanchez. And on today's episode, we have a fun one. NFL mock trade scenarios and ideas. We're going to throw out the trades that we came up with, whether NFL player to a new team via the draft. We're going to throw them out there. And then at the end, we're going to tell whether or not we're buying or selling what the other person is throwing out there. So, guys, let's get into our mock draft trades. For me, I got a fun one out there to you. And this is a team I know that is near and dear to your heart because you're a former Dallas Cowboys fan, right? I feel like I kind of feel like you still there's some in there, Keith. There's some. I don't know. There's some of that blue.
I don't know. I chose to be less stressed, man. That's what I chose to be. I chose to be less stressed. I watched, and you know what? Not to go off on a tangent, but I'll tell you this. I watched the Dallas Cowboys documentary, right? Mm-hmm. And there was one key component in there that I said, yep, I am on the right side of history. When Jerry Jones, he made the comment, he's talking about in the 90s, real quick before we get started the episode. He was talking about in the 90s, like when he first bought the team, I think late 80s, right? And he was like, man, we were losing every single game. But the key word he said was this. He said, we were losing every single game. But more importantly, I was losing $1 million per week. So I said, you know what? The money, right? So I said, you know what? I'm on the right side of history with this situation. I am glad I made my decision, but let's have some fun because you may be about to go in the same direction I was about to go with trade. So let's discuss it with the Dallas Cowboys. Potentially.
So for me, potentially. So for me, Keith, I say if my mock trade to kick the show off is the Dallas Cowboys. We know that rumor has it they were willing to trade, I believe, either 12th or the 20th pick. They got 2 first rounders and a second round pick to get Max Crosby. I'm not going to say you trade that. I say you trade 12 and you take, I think, their third round pick, 92. You take 12 and 92, call it the Tennessee Titans, and you trade for the 4th overall pick, and you draft linebacker out of Ohio State, Sonny Styles. Like, this is a defense that we've seen you still got the 20th pick. So you want to get a DB or you want to get that edge rusher you want, somebody that's falling down the board, whatever, you get BPA, you still can do that. But I think that 12th pick, especially for a team like Tennessee, is going to be more intriguing. Now, of course, some people are like, hey, would why can't we get a first round for next year? Yeah, I just don't think Dallas is going to do it. So I would offer, especially for the 2027 class, they're not going to do it. You get 12. You get 92. Heck, maybe I throw in a day 2 pick next year. So you get multiple picks and everything. But for the Dallas Cowboys, you come up and you get Sonny Styles. And for me, Keith, it's simple. You get an impact player, a game changer at the second level of your defense. You talking about pairing him long-term with DeMarvion Overshown. Right now, I think the guy that's especially in this odd front that Christian Parker is bringing over to run, you need 2 inside linebackers, right? Yeah. Right now, I think the guy that's slated to be alongside Overshown is Shamar James out of Florida. And everything, and solid player. But if I can get a Sonny Styles, if I can move up, be aggressive, and go get Sonny, I'm not trying to trade both first-round picks for him. I'm still trying to, hedge my bet a little bit, see if I can, get the Tennessee Titans to take one of them. But if I'm Dallas, I would love to go up and be aggressive, go get Sonny Styles, get that playmaker at the second level. The guy that could literally do everything for our defense, blitz, defend, deal with Hurts and JD5 and Jackson Dart from an athletic standpoint, spying these guys, keeping them and their legs from being positive impacts or plus marks in terms of impacts on the game. I think that would be a great trade if I'm the Dallas Cowboys. And the Titans, you move down and you get 12th pick, you get 92. Like I said, you potentially get a day 2 pick next year and everything, but you make that trade looking to go ahead and get BPA. You acquire some more picks as well. And hey, if you want to take a receiver at 12, you can absolutely do that, and it makes more sense than taking one in the top 5.
Yeah, no, so I thought that was interesting, DP, because I wanted to ask you this. Do you think that do you think Sonny Styles will require more than what um Max Crosby will require?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
That's no, and listen, and the reason I said that was, and we probably should we should definitely discuss this on one of the episodes, right? Because it's draft related, right? With the general
Yeah.
managers and the Max Crosby situation, we definitely should discuss it. But I just didn't know if with the knee conversation, right, how
Mm.
valued would Max Crosby, quote unquote, come across the
Yeah.
the wire, or perception and things like that, compared to Sonny Styles, who is the freak athlete and maybe the
Right.
prize defensive prospect, right, in this draft.
Mhm.
Well, he's put his name in that bucket. I'll say that. So no, I find that fairly interesting. DP, I'm gonna stay in the NFC East, and I'm gonna stay with the guy you just discussed. Now listen, when it comes down to salary cap and all of those different things,
Mhm.
um, no, I'm not a salary capologist, right? But I will say this is something I think could be a good fit. The Philadelphia Eagles trading um their first round pick for Max Crosby. I think they should get in on the conversation. They need edge
Mm.
rush help, right? And Howie Roseman, right? I
Yeah.
um he is a guy, and obviously these are not pie in the sky, but these are best case scenarios and
Yeah.
swinging for the fence type situations, right? They need edge rush help, right? They had
Mhm.
a defensive tackles. They need edge rush help. They sit at the back end of the draft. They are at pick 23, and this was my
23.
thinking, right? And this is a Coach K's key thought right here, right? This is some brain workology. So if you perceive, like, even you talk about future draft picks, right? Every draft, we say this doesn't have 32 first rounders, right? So if that's the case and you get your board done and you have 20 first rounders, right? You're technically probably going to select the quote unquote guy that you have as a second rounder. So
Mm.
when you trade away your first rounder, it's actually a second rounder in your books. So that's
Yeah.
how I'm looking at that, right? Like if you think about it in that capacity, that and I have another trade coming up too, and I'm gonna apply the same type of logic that if you look at it from that perspective, um you're like, okay, cool. And then, like, I'm getting Max Crosby and maybe I'm trading tutus for him, essentially, right? Like
Mm.
if
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
you have on the books. But those teams that feel like they're going to consistently be picking at 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, like, yeah, they're on 32 first round prospects, right? And you
No.
may slip up and get one that maybe falls down the board or something, but most likely you're selecting a guy with a second round grade because they're on 32 first round prospects. So I was just, working that thought process a little bit, DP. If become a general manager one day, don't be surprised if my team is really good and I start slinging first round picks, that if I feel like I'm gonna be in the back end of the first round. So I thought about that, and
Okay.
I thought that would be a interesting move because Howie Roseman moves like that, right? Like, he just kind
Mhm.
of pulls the trigger on certain things, and then he's another guy that is not shying away from, like I talked about Les Snead. Was that on yesterday's episode or the day before? Where they're not afraid to get criticism, but they've also proven themselves so much that
Yeah.
people now give them the benefit of the doubt.
No, that's a very interesting swing, and for a team that won the Super Bowl, was it 2 years ago, whatever,
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah.
and everything, you want to get back there, and a
Mhm.
big part of that was your ability to get to the quarterback with four, being able to rush with four. Because typically, I remember when the Patriots won one of their 6 Super Bowls with Tom Brady, Martellus Bennett was on the team, and I remember him, like, at post game, he said, yeah, he was about to hit free agency, and they was asking, was he going to be back? He said, we'll see, because everybody knows Super Bowl champions get paid in the offseason, right? And
Yeah.
so what happened? You lost Josh Sweat, and like that defensive line, you lost Milton Williams, you lost talent on that defensive line that impacted the pass rush just as a whole, right? Like, where now teams can zero in solely on Jalen Carter and say, well, you're not going to wreck this game for us. So I could see that, I could see Howie Roseman wanting to say, let me dangle this first to the Raiders and saying on draft night too, like, hey, you want draft capital? I'm giving you the 23rd pick right now. Let me get Max Crosby. Let's go ahead and make the deal. Keith, we're gonna close this thing out with buy or sell. Are you buying my Dallas Cowboys trade? Of course, if you're the Titans, you might not buy it. But are you buying my Dallas Cowboys trade from go up 12, 94, and add another pick to go up to 4 and get Sonny Styles?
Yeah, I'm buying it because the Dallas Cowboys, they've done a decent job with, I think, addressing the trenches. There's still a little bit more, like there's more additions they can do, but they got better, right? Especially with the addition of Rashawn Gary, things like that, right? So, and then I'm interested to see really what Donovan Ezerico could do as a second-year player, right? So, the edges aren't bad. Can they add to it? Yes, but I look at Sonny Styles, DP, and you know I pounded the table for Sonny Styles for months now, and even discussing the second level ability, but also the versatility as a blitzer, right? Like I just think he's such a dynamic playmaker, and it's been a very, very long time since the Cowboys have had that on a second level. Just a well-rounded linebacker. And if you're talking about if the comps are right and everybody is saying Fred Warner, if you're talking about drafting Fred Warner, man, listen, now you have a leader of your defense, you have somebody. So I'm buying it. I'm definitely buying it.
And Keith, I'm also buying your mock trade for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think mine is beneficial for both teams if we add the extra pick, whatever. Yours is truly beneficial for both teams. The Raiders get an extra first. The Philadelphia Eagles get a proven pass rusher that can come in, get them sacks, be their guy. And you're talking about having a defensive line on third downs with Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Max Crosby, potentially Nolan Smith being the speed, the power guy off the other side. You get back to be able to get to the quarterback before. So I'm buying that trade scenario.
Yeah, and real quick, and listen, like the AJ Brown conversation, I don't know if you wind up sending AJ Brown to Las Vegas, right?
Because you mentioned that, I got a trade offer with that situation.
Okay, all right, yeah, let's talk about it. DP, we're coming up next, man. We're going to continue to roll with these trade scenarios. I'm having fun with this. This is interesting. We're adding some twists and turns on trades we would like to see, right? That incorporate NFL draft picks, future NFL draft picks, and then also we're gonna dangle in a couple NFL players too, right? So let's keep this going. Let's talk about this coming up next.
Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you still have to fill is sitting open. When the pressure's on, you need the right hire. This is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves. And Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Don't forget to check out the Everydayer Club for ad-free episodes like this one and access to our group chat, the Discord channel, with me, Keith, other listeners of this show, and just other NFL and NFL draft fans all together. To join, tap the link in the show notes or go to lockedonnfldraft.supercast.com to join. Keith, I alluded to that. I had a trade. When you said the Philadelphia Eagles, I laughed in my head because I was like, well, I got an Eagles trade too. And for me, Keith, it's involving the guy you mentioned at the end of the first segment, and that is A.J. Brown. My trade idea, and I've heard that there might be a little smoke that, hey, maybe this could potentially happen. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams say, you know what, man? We believe we got at least one, maybe 2 more years left of Matthew Stafford. We improved the defense. I feel like they shipped off almost the entire cornerback room to bring in the new guys they brought in. We know we can rush the passer. Our front seven is good, whatever. They trade the 13th pick to the Philadelphia Eagles to go get A.J. Brown, pairing him up with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, and giving Matthew Stafford 3 bona fide wide receivers that you absolutely have no chance of covering one-on-one. And they're still going to be able to run the ball, do all the things they can do. The Philadelphia Eagles move up to 13, and they still keep pick 23. So you trade AJ Brown, you get a top 15 pick, right? When we know Les Snead has been kind of forget them picks over the years. So he says, I'm good. I got some day 2 picks. We can make some things shake later on in this draft. I could bring in some cost-efficient contracts. The Philadelphia Eagles, though, with that pick, Keith, they go get an offensive lineman because, again, they still got 23. They can get another wide receiver. They select Francis Mauinua to add to their offensive line. Lane Johnson is their right tackle. I think he's coming back for at least one more year for sure, and that's 2026. Mm-hmm. You don't know what that's going to look like post 2026. We could go a year from now, fast forward a year today, and he's retiring, right? We just saw Levante David retire earlier this week, Keith. Like, you know what I mean? After free agency, heading into the draft, Tampa Bay linebacker and great hits. He says, listen, I'm done. I'm calling it quits, right? He throws his cleats up on the power lines and calls it a day. For me, with Francis Mauinua right now, he comes in as a guard, so he battles with Tyler Steen for that starting spot. I probably lean Francis Mauinua taking that spot, and you having him, Cam Jurgens, Lane Johnson on that right side. This team needs to get back to being physical, get back to running the football, trading away AJ Brown, right? You know what I mean? Getting this pick, getting Francis Mauinua, number one, you get somebody off the roster that a lot of fans will say is a headache right now. So you get that out of the locker room. You get that, you can get back to playing your version of football. And that's punching teams in the mouth, running the ball with Jalen Hurts, running the ball with Saquon Barkley, moving guys off the line of scrimmage. And whenever that does happen in terms of Lane Johnson's retirement, Francis Mauinua then kicks back out to right tackle. You can find yourself a guard through free agency, the draft next year, whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? You can always be able to find interior offensive linemen. But I think that's my mock trade in there. You tell me if you're buying or selling that, Keith.
Yeah, I am going to buy it. I was initially going to sell. I'm gonna be honest with you, DP. I was selling, but the details of it, right? And I understand how both teams could win from this, right? I'm gonna discuss this though. You know what? The only thing I think it may not happen is I feel like Eagles might get in the way. And what I mean by that is because to me, Les Snead and Howie Roseman, like and maybe our guy in Seattle, right? They're battling for like best GM. Yeah, in the NFL, right? And I wonder if Eagles / Pride get in the way, because this is what I think from the trade. And this is why initially I was going to sell, but the more you fleshed out the idea and process of it, this is a immediate win for the Los Angeles Rams. This is a future win for the Philadelphia Eagles, in my opinion, right? Like being able to get a young offensive lineman, and if they go wide receiver with their other first-round pick, then now you're locked and loaded for the next 5 years, right? For the Los Angeles Rams, this is to win now. And the only Eagle part that I discussed, what I was thinking about, was I wonder how Howie Roseman would feel, because to me that would put the Los Angeles Rams over the top, right? Like they are by far and away the best.
That's a good point. You definitely got to, and you got to face each other potentially.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're gonna face each other in the playoffs. Yeah. And then how is Howie going to feel if he's sitting there, and the Los Angeles Rams end up hosting the Lombardi, right? Like that was the one. That I don't know if that part is going to fly with him, but if you remove ego and pride out the way, that like the Philadelphia Eagles getting a top draft pick, like you should be happy with that. Like, wait, hold on, we get number 13 draft pick. So if you go get, that's what you say, right? The number 13.
13th.
Yeah. So 13th. There are plenty of, if you wanted to go, you said like Francis Mauinua, right? Get him, and then at pick, was it 20 or 23? 23
you go
that they have.
Wide receiver. Omar Cooper Jr., Chris Bell, whatever receiver you want in that situation.
Yeah, and do that. And I think that like I said, it sets you up for the future. So I think it's a win-win. I would buy it as a NFL fan. I'm just not sure if the general managers are going to buy it, because
I'm not gonna lie, Keith. I did not factor in the fact that they're both in the NFC. I'm like, crap. As you're talking through that, I'm like, well, heck, I might sell my own trade. It's like, You know, Howie Roseman, like, yeah, I mean, we got Reek Woolen, we got Cooper DeJean, we got Quinyon, but man, you tell me Matthew Stafford throwing to AJ Brown, Puka. Well, we'll see because Puka's doing some wild stuff off the field. Puka, AJ Brown, and Devontae Adams for at least a year. Devontae Adams hits free agency after the season. Yeah, they go all in and they might win. They might host that Lombardi for sure if we can't get back to the quarterback.
Yeah, and then with the Rams, right? They've gotten better on the defense side of the football too, right? They signed two.
They can go all in if they want to.
They traded for Trent McDuffie. So I personally think it makes sense, right? It's one of those things where like you have to sit both guys down. You know, you have to be like the commissioner, be like, listen, this makes sense, right? You have to tell both of them why it makes sense. Yeah, you got to be the mediator between this stuff because at the end of the day, with the Eagles, right? And I was about to mention it in the last segment. Is that I just don't see this working with AJ Brown, right? Like we tried it for a couple years. Like, I mean, he won a Super Bowl.
You got a title. Yeah, you got a title out of it.
And he still wasn't happy. Yeah, so like I don't think he wants to be happy there. So if you getting a number 13 overall pick for AJ Brown, I think you should be excited for. But DP, let's do this, man. It's time to transition. I'm going to reveal another one of my trade scenarios that's going to involve this draft, and it's going to be a team picking towards the back end of the draft, right? And trading all the way up into the top 10. And we're going to discuss that coming up next.
Okay. This is the time of year where all you really want is something warm, easy, and satisfying. That's why Home Chef has become such a go-to. It takes the stress out of dinner and makes it simple to actually enjoy cooking again. Home Chef makes cooking easy with fresh, pre-proportioned ingredients, simple recipes, and meals that taste great. The meals are quick, from 30-minute recipes to oven-ready options when you don't want to think. They have tons of variety, over 30 meals each week, so it never feels repetitive, and it just makes dinner feel manageable, even on the busiest of days. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering our listeners 50% off and free shipping for your first box, plus free dessert for life. Go to homechef.com/lockedonnfl. That's homechef.com/lockedonnfl for 50% off your first box and free dessert for life. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert. Welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. And while I used to go with Old Reliable, that was great, I switched to the big bowl berry flavor of berry. Slightly sweet and very fruity flavor that it has, with the classic mixed berry flavor with notes of raspberry and blackberry. The sweetness is smooth without being just over the top with sugar. Light tartness that keeps it balanced. Familiar, easy to recognize fruit profile with a clean finish with minimal aftertaste, and the most traditional go-to flavor in the lineup. 5-Hour Energy Shots give you a boost without sugar, zero sugar. Find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy Shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft the first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you. Finishing out our mock trade episode. It's been a lot of fun so far. Keith, what's this team moving up from the back of round one to the top 10? Talk to us.
I am looking at this. I'm looking at the San Francisco 49ers, right? And they are a team that's in transition, but you paid your quarterback, right? And I'm going to make this a Brock Purdy conversation, but this is not a knock on Brock Purdy, okay? You've seen really good Brock Purdy that, could scrape the surface, Pro Bowl, but scrape the surface of being a top 5 quarterback in the NFL at times, right? From game to game. You've also seen him be towards the middle of pack, right? And a lot of that is surrounded about the resources that he has. It's not a knock on Brock Purdy. You can probably throw 5 to 10 other quarterbacks in that conversation too, right? Quarterbacks that people like a lot. I'm looking at this situation and I'm looking at what I have on my roster. You're probably going to, the Brandon Ayuk situation is done. You're expecting Ricky Pearsall to take a next step. Trent Williams, you have to figure out what's going to happen with that conversation, right? As far as him being on the roster, but I know it's extensions and it's just it's a money issue. It's a money and age conversation, right? But you paid Brock Purdy already, so you can't pay the quarterback and then not expect good results. You're going to want good results, because if you pay the quarterback and then he's not playing well, then it's a waste of money, right? And you don't want it to look like that. So the trade that I'm going through is that I'm looking at the tight end position. George Kittle is coming off of Achilles tear. I believe it was Achilles, right?
I think so, yeah.
I have to ask myself, how important is George Kittle to the fundamental part of this offensive scheme? In my opinion, I think he's very important to what they do. As far as being able to impact the run game and the passing game, being a top 5, maybe you can say a top 3 tight end consistently in the NFL. He's another guy that's aging, right? Like, even if there was no injury tied to that, he's just simply getting older. And so I give up draft capital and leverage it to be able to get inside the top 10 to go draft Kenyon Sadiq. Because you need offensive playmakers, and I think this tight end position is very important for this offense. I think in going find another dynamic X factor playmaker for Kenyon Sadiq, for Brock Purdy, could really benefit this football team. And if you're going to make this transition, I think the 49ers, they're going to have to just go all in. And this would have been a year, where people say, well, man, you got to kind of be bad so you can get the good players. It's very difficult for them to be bad just because Kyle Shanahan is a really good play caller, right? Like,
he's a great coach.
Mac Jones started, they lost George Kittle, you know what I'm saying? And they still made it to the playoffs, right? So I think if they want to reach the ultimate goal of winning the Super Bowl, they have to revamp this entire thing. And the George Kittle coming off an injury, the whole entire dynamic, why not try to go get a Kenyon Sadiq? I think you sat in the back end of the first round and you got Ricky Pearsall, right? But in that same draft, right? Like, that was if I'm not mistaken, that was the Malik Neighbors draft, right?
I think so, yeah.
Like Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., and just Ricky Pearsall could be really good, but it's 2 different caliber of players, like we talked about, right? Like, each year there's only 3 to 5 potential all-pro guys. Like, y'all went to Super Bowls with all-pro players, right? George Kittle's all-pro, Trent Williams all-pro, Christian McCaffrey all-pro, right? Like, so you have to kind of start filling in those holes and those gaps, because if not, it could impact Brock Purdy.
Listen, that and so that's a very enticing and aggressive trade, because, like you said, not having George Kittle, who's, we don't talk about Titans as dual threat, but he has dual purpose. Like, he's a great blocker and he's a great receiver at the tight end spot. I do like the trade. I like the aggressiveness of it, and we know I love Kenyon Sadiq. Only reason why I'm gonna sell it, Keith, is because
you're gonna sell my trade. Ain't that something? I spent all this time explaining it, and you decide to sell my trade, DP.
I'm gonna sell it. Only reason why. So I wanted to buy it. I was like, this would be fun, especially with Kyle Shanahan, with a guy like Kenyon Sadiq. That sounds like a ton of fun to watch him just scheme that situation. Only reason why is because when we did the tight end episode. And I was like, we talked about how we like this tight end class. I'm like, you know what? I looked to see they got pick 27, they got pick 58 in the top 100, right? They took first and second round pick. They haven't needed wide receiver, so they go get a wide receiver at 27, 58. You telling me Oscar Delp, probably not Eli Stowers, because he's not the greatest blocker, so he might not fit in there. They re-signed the Jake Tonjes dude who stepped in for Kittle last year, who they like. But I think being able to get like a guy like Oscar Delp at 58 and get a wide receiver like an Omar Cooper Jr. or some Denzel Boston or something like that, they get basically killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Well, no, that wouldn't be.
It'd be 2 stones.
It's 2 stones.
It's a bird per stone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a bird per stone. Bird per stone. So definitely a bird per stone in that situation. I think that's the situation I think they would rather go with than trading, because you got to trade from 27 in the top 10. Oh yeah, these teams go. Yeah, well, you got to give up 27 first.
Yeah, this is what I was thinking, right? That goes back to my logic, right? That if I'm a good football team yeah, you can have a first because it's kind of a second, right? Like that's where I was saying the logic at the top of the show kicked in. I was like, okay, you want a first round? Well, yeah, we're gonna be good anyway. Probably gonna be picking at pick 30, right? So go ahead and take a second rounder, right? So it's labeled a first rounder, but essentially you're getting a second round player. And what I was thinking was, and the reason I said this because I think there are a couple teams, and I don't know if you feel this way, DP, when you get into the mock draft scenario, right? That they're kind of sitting, they can go a bunch of different ways, but they also can kind of trade back, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it's the New Orleans, Kansas City, but especially Cincinnati, right? Like it's like y'all kind of have so many holes that y'all can go in so many different directions to where y'all can afford to pick later in the draft and fill one of y'all gaps, right? Like if there's not a dynamic Sonny Styles, whatever may be there. Because like y'all biggest issue, to be honest, is defensively and keeping Joe Burrow healthy, right? And I don't know if you can address Joe Burrow's health during the draft.
No,
so that's the two things.
No, like I said, in the mock situation, Kenyon Sadiq being able to be coached and schemed open by a coach and play caller like Kyle Shanahan, I mean that's a headache for defenses. You know what I mean? And he fits what they want to do. But I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, I came on here and said that the Oscar Delp was my tight end too. And I was like, dang, I can't, that makes sense. Like I would take 58. Like I know some people might think I'm tripping. I would absolutely take Oscar Delp at 58. If I'm the Niners, I'm definitely doing, like if I can get Omar Cooper Jr., who fits this team. You hope that Ricky Pearsall can stay healthy, but him and Omar Cooper Jr. could be a very good 1-2 punch, and then get Oscar Delp at 58, and you feel like, I'm good. Like if I'm Brock Purdy, I'm calling up John Lynch like, hey, thank you. I appreciate you. You know what I mean? You want me? I'll take a little bit of a restructure if I need to. I appreciate you just for that, because I got me another wide receiver and basically almost a complete tight end. So this was fun though, Keith. This was fun. This was a lot of fun, honestly.
Yeah, we need to do this more often. Analyze, think about some of these trades and shake up. And like you said,
bring it back next week, baby. Bring it back next week.
Let's bring it back and have some fun with it. And we know there's gonna be fireworks during the draft, right? And be fireworks probably leading up to the draft as teams continue to finalize their NFL draft boards. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. Find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all gonna talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you so much for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.